So today in our documenting WordPress 6.1 release, I'm gonna do track tickets triage for dev notes. Let's get involved and go to core. Here in sidebar, you find current release 6.1. Today is August 16th, so we are here. And I'm gonna go to Trac. Now, as I said in one of previous videos, this query doesn't work well for me for documenting. It is good for people who wants to contribute to tickets, but I want to make sure these tickets are documented. So this query is not good for me. What I'm going to do is I want closed. I don't want new reopen reviewing because I want to make sure these tickets are going to be in the release. I also want to add a milestone for 6.1 and I want to group results by component. So now I can work with this. So encourage people to change default tagline. This sounds like end user, right? So it already has end user docs keyword. Um, Mind you, it was open 14 years ago and it is for administration component. Now, I already went through this, so you will not watch me how I'm reading all the comments since 14 years ago. But this is very good to go through all of it to see historically what was happening, how they made decision, what's gonna go into core, what not. So the problem here is that people don't change the tagline, and not all teams are displaying tagline. But you know, if you don't change it, it is still visible in feeds and search results. So what to do with that? You know, that tagline, yet another WordPress website, just another WordPress site, right? So they were deciding here, there was some um, design and UX feedback to that. What we are looking for is, oh, by the way, this was the old keyword codex, but we don't use codex anymore. So we changed it to user docs for end user documentation. So what we are looking for is a specific comment that is explaining what's in the commit. And here it is. When you see this, this is something that is posted at the end of the ticket when ticket is closed. And this is where you can find, so in this commit, you can see what happened. This is commit message. Change default site tagline to an empty string. So this is user-facing change, and that is why we are going to document it for end user documentation. Anything that is user-facing change, user interface is changed in some significant way, then we have to document it. And here you see all the explanation, what's happening and why, and you see props, and this ticket is closed. So this will go into 6.1. I already have this ticket, so this is the encourage people to change default tagline, and I have marked it as end user docs. and component administration. So you can find this project at github.com or WordPress project 45. This is WordPress 6.1 documentation. So this one is already added, but let's take a look at others that are not added. So list table factory needs to be pluggable. Opened 11 years ago. It's in administration, has patch, and again, I will not make you watch me reading this. So through history, they were deciding how to refactor the list tables because it needed a lot of changes. But then, and they made it, you know, they wanted to have it in 4.9, but it didn't get in, so it continued to stay. And then 4 months ago, I'll spend a few days deciding if 6.0 is the future release in which this gets done. You only live once. You can find a lot of funny and you know, humanized parts of comments in Trac tickets. And then it didn't get in 6.0. So this is what we are working right now. It's not going to be changed because it will break backward incompatible. It will be backward incompatible. So with the about the half plugins in most popular list. So that would be a lot of change, and they will not do it. They will not completely change the API. What's gonna happen is there will be new filter as suggested in Sergey's comment about, and it will remove the private access. So this ticket will have new filter. That's the most effective outcome from here. And when we have new filter, we want developers to know about that. So I'm going to add keywords here because it's just going to be a new filter. We don't need a code example for that. We know how to use filters, but still, I don't know if this could go as part of mixed dev note, or it will just be listed in a field guide. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add needs dev note and add to field guide. So to make sure it will be in field guide, but we don't know if it's going to end up in one dev note. It's definitely not good, not big change for having dedicated dev note. And add comment. So we have it marked now for documentation. By the way, this marking that you want docs for these tickets to be created, it doesn't need to be from people who write documentation. You can do that. Anyone can set something to needs dev note or needs docs or need user docs. So if you are reading ticket, you find it interesting, you want to learn how to utilize that feature, you can just mark it. If you are logged in, you can mark it that it needs some kind of documentation, and that's completely acceptable. So we marked that one. Let's go. The next one. This one is open 7 years ago. It is for performance, so this will most likely go into grouped performance dev note, most likely if it is interested for developers to be documented. So what's happening here is right, so this function is being called for every single row being displayed. Oh, 52 times get columns called 105 times. This is also a problem, both 105 times. So we have some not needed repeated calls for functions, and that's a performance problem. So historically, things happened, people decided, people moved it around, and here what we have is in this commit, it will be improved performance for list tables. Yay, I love it. What performance team is doing in past 3, I believe, releases, they are really fixing performance all over the place. So they added primary column to the cached header values. This reduces the number of calls to the get primary column name method to once per table in line with the other header getter functions. Nice. So we do want to know about this. Like I said, this will most likely be in grouped performance dev notes, but if not, this is something we want to know about. So this is not something that we as developer can, effectively use. Like there is no change in what we are doing, but we want to know that performance is improved. So I'm just gonna add the same needs dev node, if it will be in performance dev node, or add to field guide if we are just going to mention it there. So this is basically how it looks like, triaging tickets, reading them, going through them, and if there is a user-facing change, then we mark it for end user. If it is something that developers should know, then depending on how big the change is, it will end up either in dev node, which can be a dedicated single dev node or grouped dev node, or it will just be listed on a field guide as one of the changes, depending, as I said, on the how big the change is. And after I'm done with all the tickets or triaging, I will then add to this query those keywords. I will add needs dev node, and then everything that is here I will list and add to here, but we will see another video for that. This is it for now, and I'll go back to the rest of the tickets.